last Christmas, Raphael van der Vaart. The very next day, Idrissa Gueye. We are in Reds Bar with Erdinger. Very, very happy to be here. We were here last week, but I just love the Christmas backdrop so much I wanted to come back. And we've got our Christmas jumpers on because it is Boxing Day. When they're seeing this as Boxing Day, but I'm going to be dead honest with you, this isn't like Jules Holland's Hootenanny when it gets done all the way in July and they act like it is Christmas. We are recording this on Tuesday, the 23rd. So if things have happened between now and then, we're not in control of that. I just think Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, what are they going to do?
Yeah, true. Well, you never know, to be fair, with Liverpool, but what are we going to do is more of a point, isn't it?
Exactly.
If you think we're pissed on some of the shows, imagine what we'd be like if we done one on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Exactly. So I just want to hope that everyone at Liverpool right now, as we record this, is putting the out of office on.
Yeah, turn the lights off, that's it.
Yeah, done. That's it. Sorted. No worries about it at this point. And so we're going to take it as though this is where Liverpool find themselves. And where they find themselves, Damian, last week we were, I think, quite upbeat. I think there was a general feeling of, listen, it's a big game against Tottenham this, back the boys, they'll find their way through. They did do that, but it's come at a cost. And the cost being the opening goal. He's absolutely side down in the act of scoring it, and he's injured, Bradley's injured, they looked a bit knackered, he had very little on his bench. It just all feels like it's a bit on top.
It is, and that's a consequence of being in the position we were before we start this run. Now, we did get not what we wanted, but we got what we needed. So we didn't want any injuries. Yeah. I don't know how serious Connor is and that. Don't know where that's up to.
Connor's 50-50 for the Wolves game.
Well, that's all right.
It's all right.
That could be worse, couldn't it? Yeah. Bear in mind, Jeremy's there. Looks like he's full of beans there, doesn't he?
He's always is.
Yeah. So I think that's it. And so I think, due to the way of spinning, I could see why we're running down to the last 11 realistic you could pick, and the first 2 you could realistically pick off the bench. And that's not going to fill any manager with great confidence with a run coming up. However, don't get too down. If you were going to pick 2 fixtures, you'd be at home to the 2 worst away teams in the league. That's what we've got.
Yeah.
So, he's a Liverpool manager, and he should get on with it.
He certainly should, man, shouldn't he? He certainly should. Tell his face he's Liverpool manager.
It is one where I think the news, if I go with Amelia, the news is that bad with Isak. You know, it is, they're saying 2 months. To me, it's longer, but also he hasn't got fitness to fall back on. Yeah. He was still building his fitness, which is his own fault to an extent. He was still building his fitness. He hasn't got it to fall back on, so 2 months will become 3. A minimum by the time he gets going. Then there's an international break. You know, it's mad how this all plays out. But it's just a shame for him because it's in the very act of scoring, which does not feel harsh.
It's in the act of scoring, and it's also when it feels like on the way to being the player that we thought he might get to be for us, and we're beginning to see that in the goals and in everything else that he does. I think it's worth kind of couching it in the context of he's not really been a first choice for a lot of the season. So although it's awful for him and it's awful for us, Hugo Ekitike's still there. I hope there'll be something that happens in January. I know that, well, that needs to happen so that Ekitike isn't the kind of the only option that you've possibly got. But while it's awful, it's terrible for him. I feel really bad for him. I feel really bad for slagging him off so much recently. It's not the worst possible outcome that it's not the worst injury that we could have, or the kind of the one player where you think, oh God, what do we do now? I'm not as downbeat as I think I might be, but I think because they look knackered. They've looked knackered for quite a lot of games towards the end. I don't feel like we're that much worse off. If anything, I feel like we're better because we've had a nice little run, and maybe there's a bit more of a feeling that this season might not just be a race for fourth.
So he's not just ruled out for the season, is he?
No.
I haven't caught any of this.
No, 2 months, the manager's saying, at least a couple of months. Okay. I think that'll become 3. I think it possibly even becomes 4 because, as I say, you lose 2 weeks in March anyway to an international break. So that's gone.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think they'd probably like to think they can get him involved in April.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then that's a bonus, isn't it? And it is. I wouldn't want to diminish how bad that is for the young fella, and the timing of in the moment of scoring a goal. But I think you've got a good point there. He hasn't set the world on fire, and you know, if you wanted to be brutal about it, who would you pick to get injured? Him or Ekitike? Sorry, Isak, it's you. You know what I mean? If you just got to sort of bring it down to the bottom, of course we're devastated for him. Of course you'd want him as an option. There's no doubt in my mind that lad's going to score a lot of goals for us. He hasn't been fit enough, and I've got no doubt also that if he gets a good run of pre-season, he'll be ace, and then we'll have 2 ace strikers to work around. But in the meantime, it is unfortunate, but it does happen to everybody, and at least it wasn't Ekitike, and if it sharpens the club's focus on whether they need to get someone in or not, the lack of bodies and the lack of quality in depth in certain areas, and one being now at centre firecracker as well as centre back. Get on with it, FSG, please.
It also sharpens their focus around Salah and what you do there, because there's no world in which you possibly consider letting him go, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, that's it now. I think it does force hands. I struggle to see how it doesn't. There's a ticking clock around Semenyo, but I think there's a ticking clock full stop. What you don't want to do is spend all the January looking for something perfect and have played football matches in the meantime. There is a bit of an argument there'd be worse things than seeing someone in front of a Christmas tree with a Liverpool shirt on the 31st, off the basis of the fact that they're going to be in, not to be able to play on the 1st, don't get me wrong, but to be available then thereafter. And even if they're not ready to start in the first couple, well, they're an option from the bench, because you're going to need that.
You say not ready to start on the 1st, but if you sign Semenyo, there's no reason he can't go straight into that team. There's absolutely nothing.
I hope that happens.
I think we all do, don't we?
Yeah.
I think he's the one. You say about going to the 31st looking for something perfect. But if it was something perfect, we'd already know about it already, wouldn't we? Maybe not us as fans, but the club would certainly know about it. And it doesn't have seem like we've been getting linked with Semenyo a lot for a long period of time, and there's obviously the good relationship with Bona. So if I'm FSG and I'm thinking there's something better out there than Semenyo at the moment, I think that firstly, I don't think they are doing that, because I think that's a little bit of a dream, isn't it? Because if you don't know about something now that you know you can get across the line, well, it's not perfect then, is it? Whereas Semenyo's got a buyout clause with a date set upon it, and he's brilliant. So there's three little...
Up to speed in this league.
That's it.
Up to speed on our own pitch, by the way.
Also he can play across the front three. I know he hasn't done a lot of it for Bournemouth, but I heard Rob saying he's played up front for his national team before. So if we do continue with the diamond with 2 ahead of that, I'd be fine with Semenyo being up there, because he can finish, and that effectively that's what a striker is, isn't it? So he gives us the option of centre firecrackers, as Damian so lovely put it before, with Ekitike. But also, when Salah comes back, if they can all kiss and make up, he gives us the option to go Ekitike, Semenyo, Salah. And then before you know it, you're going, tell you what, mate, we're looking all right there. Gakpo comes in, again, probably across the front three if we need it. So I'm personally gutted for Isak, because I think Mike Keely said, and I showed you today, it was a vert assist for an Isak goal, which is what we've been wanting since the summer. And in the act of doing so, he's managed to break his leg. But it's just, I felt like, I don't know, he was always going to be a slow burner given how we got him, and I just felt like he was just coming alive, just getting them this shoot that you can go, oh, I can see how this works here. So I'm gutted for him, but the sharpening of the mind in terms of signing a striker, if it was going to happen, I'm glad it happened now, a week before the window opens or 2 weeks, whatever it is, rather than happening a week before the window closes, and then we really are scrabbling around thinking, oh my God, this season could really get away from us here.
But we're also not the only ones who might want him or actually really need him. Like United probably arguably need him more than us in terms of other options that they've got. I think just on the Salah thing, I actually think, as awful as this is and no one would wish an injury to happen, I think it paves the way for everyone to kiss and make up a lot more so than it would have, because once again, you're our shining star, you're our greatest hope, you're the most important man in the room, and that's not to say ego is anything that drives him, but his ego must have been a little bit hurt by around all of it in the summer. I think that's why maybe, and obviously he loses a really close friend and there's other things that happen going into the start of the season, but it felt like he started on a bit of a bum note, or not necessarily in the right frame of mind playing for Liverpool. And I don't know if this almost resets that, where we go, you're our main man, you're our hope here. And it's a shame for Isak in that, I think in a similar way the summer had probably a bigger mental impact on him than I may have allowed, because I've done nothing but criticise him. But that whole thing must have been really, really hard, mentally as much as it was physically, with the lack of training. And this has come at a terrible time. And I don't know what the longer term impact of that will be, even if he is ready to come back in April. But that's a problem for next year.
Well, the other happy accident that could come from it is maybe when Salah comes back, the manager goes, well, the reason you weren't playing very well is because you stuck out on the right. You haven't got the pace to beat 2 men before you get your shot off anymore. The diamonds work while you've been in there. Just go and have a little go in there.
Yeah.
Salah can finish again. We know that.
See that.
And
So,
I think he'd quite like it.
Yeah, I think Salah would be like, well, now I'm not stuck out there looking back going, oh, I probably should really be back there helping Conor Bradley out. He can go, it's not my job. And, and it's not his job anyway when he's playing on the right. He's been told that. It's been going that way for a number of years with Salah, and we were all happy with it when he was scoring goals. When he's not scoring goals, you then start thinking, well, the reason we're conceding is because blah, blah, blah. So if Salah gets to go, okay, well, put me up front, give me the ball in the box and let me see what I can do up there.
100%.
I don't think that's not a bad position to be in, is it? So, again, Isak being injured is a nightmare, proper nightmare, I think, for him as much as anybody else. But if you can, then force hands to change systems, to change minds. Well, if this is the hand that we've got, so we've got to play it. Just try and play it the best way we can.
If the manager was glum in the press conference and you were saying, maybe he's got the memo.
Grow up, Arnie, by the way. You're Liverpool manager. You're our forward.
This is just on my hearsay, by the way. This is just on my.
Oh, that's always good enough for us.
I just said he looked about as downcast as I've seen him in a press conference. Wlash absolutely livid, rang radio mate. Wrote into the Echo.
He's the forward face of this club, mate. I'll do the moaning, Arnie. You do the cheering.
Tommy Smith said fair tackle. Go on.
No, it's just maybe the manager's got the memo from FSG and said, you're not getting what you want for Grimble, and maybe that's it. And then maybe they've just got to dig.
Hey, start the FSG out machine up again. I'm afraid with that as well, you know, listen. If that's the Christmas presents I'm getting, I don't mind.
You didn't like it when we were all pulling in the same direction, did you?
No.
Didn't sit well with you.
I like a little bit of disinformation going on amongst the
However
two.
this all works, and you know, of course we've got sympathy with Isak, and we have, and you know, the manager not having as many players as he would like, and we might be suffering a bit more than others at the moment. I go back to it. You know, 'tis the season to be jolly. We've got 2 home games, which we can all enjoy being in each other's company with. Anfield being our home and our place of celebration. And we've got the 2 worst away teams in the league. So can we stop crying in our ale before it's being served, please?
Agreed.
There we are. Back in a second. We're going to have some of the ale with Erdinger. We're in Red's Bar. Back in a second. Welcome back, Erdinger in Red's Bar. Looking ahead to now, specifically that game against Wolves, a side that have only got 2 points. They're not quite as bad as that would suggest. Genuinely, they're just really, really miserable. Finding football matches hard, things going against them. But Damian, something else that's gone against Liverpool is no Dominic Szoboszlai. That said, there's worse games for him to miss, at least theoretically.
You picked this one. In fact, we actually said it on these very couches when it was wondering about would he be fit for Spurs, and if you would take a chance on him, you would sooner take the chance at the Spurs game because that's where we needed him, and we would sacrifice the Wolves one. Of course, as it worked out, he's not sacrificed other than the fact that he's been booked and he's out through suspension.
I can't remember the yellow card.
The yellow card was when Richarlison got on his face. I think the referee's just lost his head a little because I don't think Szoboszlai actually does a great deal. I'm almost certain that's when he got booked, and Richarlison got on Szoboszlai's face and someone else pushed Richarlison away. I didn't see anything in it personally, but as you say, it's not, if you were going to pick a game for our player of the season so far to miss, it's the worst team in the league at all.
Yeah,
so
and there's the stats. Yeah, he deserves to be on the Erdingers when the other lads can't.
Yeah.
He's going to be a huge miss in the game, and that really is something I think we're just going to have to bear in mind. That Liverpool are going to have to be compact, not stupid, show a lot of energy and invention, and really play for each other. Really play for the other 10 lads on that pitch. And really play for the crowd, and you know, to take it into that sort of adversity. This is who we've got, lads. This is who we are. We haven't, you know, let's do it for Dom, let's do it for Isak, let's do, you know, all those cliches that you put in. And surely, and I think Wolves have been more unlucky than this table would suggest. But you know, the facts are there to be beaten. And if we go a goal up, I think we're going to be all right. He's going to be a huge miss because he's just been not just the most energetic player, but the best player. Quality, commitment, all over the pitch. You know, he wins Player of the Season before November. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like if you're average for the rest of the season, you're going to win that. You know what I mean? And he's just continued to be that, hasn't he? You know, so yeah, he's going to be a huge miss. So you know, we've just got to go for it. Everyone's got to be prepared to pull for each other and put that extra, you know, 10%. All the cliches which I hate. But you've just got to do that for that day. This game in isolation. Then the main man's back, and everyone's going to be made up that he's back, and he's going to be made up that he's back. And then we'll take it from there. So we can take it up a notch against Leeds. And we're going to be a bit more tricky, I think. So it sounds like I'm counting that Liverpool have already won these 2 games, and no one's got a divine right, you know, Liverpool as much as anyone. But if we play well and we put the shift in that manner, and we get an even breaker look, then we'd be fine.
With what he has to do, the manager, Cav says there, Emelia, he really will only have 13 players. How he decides to use those resources, it's down to him, you know, and it's down to those players, whether they're starting or not starting, to then come and all play for each other, all chip in. But he really will not have, you know, in terms of senior players, he might use Rio Wingamoa, he might use Trey Naoni off the bench, but in terms of senior players, he really will only have 13, I think, in order to get somewhere with.
Senior players, senior players. Did he say anything about Jade and Dan's in
No.
the press com?
Jade wasn't asked about Dan's, but Dan's is supposedly coming back to a form of fitness, but I think it's still too soon for him.
Yeah, so just thinking of options that aren't necessarily first. Isak didn't start, did he? He brings him on. So, like, as much as, yes, the numbers are the numbers. I'm not trying to lie about them. I'm trying to change how I feel about them. That, like, he wasn't a player that he decided to start for that fixture. So, yeah, he won't have him as an option. And if he's thinking, like, Hugo needs a rest or someone gets a cramp, whatever happens, it eliminates options. But it doesn't change how confident I feel about the start in 11, I don't think, because it's awful, but I don't think it changes that much in terms of how Liverpool line up and start. And hopefully then it's put to bed early enough that you are able to go, let's get some kids on.
That, I think, there's two ways to do this. One is to hold a couple back off the base of the fact that you're worried it might take 90-95 against these. The other is to almost have the attitude of, can we just do this in an hour, please, lads? And I'll remove people and go from there. And I don't envy him for this, but he's paid a lot of money to do it. He's shown he's a really good manager. He'll know what he's got in his squad. He's just got a couple of questions. What do you do at right back? Do you try and give Frimpong an hour and go from there? Or do you move someone in? Or do you risk Bradley if he is indeed 50-50? You know, that's a bit of a big question for him. It's mad he's got two left backs. Say what you want. But then there's a bit of an argument, I think, to maybe even think about, well, do you think we're playing them both?
Yeah.
And put one in front of the other, because that gives you another left-hand sided option and could help you give a sub. Do you know what I mean? Might he even start Chiesa? These are all moving parts he's got.
And when you said the two left backs there, there wouldn't be the worst decision in the world for me to put Andy Robertson right back and just say, tuck in as a third centre half, say to Kirk, you're effectively a left winger now, mate. Just get going.
Or Robertson with Kirkes in front of him, which means you've got a bit, can you move Wirtz about? And at least the left-hand side, then you'd feel that was solid.
I think the left-hand sides look good, with Kirkes especially. I think he's got a lot of stick at the start of the season, but I think he's been playing well for probably 10 games now, do you know what I mean? Which is, it's not mean FIFA, a 21-year-old kid's going to a struggling Liverpool team and start looking like that. So I think as many problems as we've got plenty of players there who you look at and think, if I was a Wolves player, I wouldn't want to be playing against him. Yeah. So there's loads of extra places we'd like to be filled with class players. We'd like an extra centre midfielder, we'd certainly like an extra centre half, we'd like an extra centre forward. We haven't necessarily got those things though. But what we have got is we've got a squad of players who are like international captains, you know what I mean? A squad of players who, if you did say to Andy Robertson, I don't think he will do this, by the way, but if you did say to him, play right back, Andy Robertson's not going to disgrace himself over there, do you know what I mean? He'd do his job, no problem whatsoever, and provide a base for the forward lads to work on. And against these, as long as there's no mega brain farts like we've seen this season so often, they shouldn't really be troubling us that much, should they? So we can probably afford to be a little bit more cavalier.
They're going to choose to say, come on to us. They're not going to carry tons of threat. I think that's why Leeds feel a little bit more dangerous. You look at players like Calvert-Lewin and a couple of others, and you're able to say, well, I can see how I've seen you hurt us before. With these, I just think they're going to sit deep. And I think that will be the entire plan. Will be sit deep.
If you were them, you're probably just thinking, just give us a 3-0 and just let us get out of here. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it must be so dispiriting being a Wolves player at the moment, mustn't it? They played Brentford at home last Saturday, I think it was, get beat 2-0 in like what it looked to me like a Nottingham game, do you know what I mean? But just they never looked like scoring at all. There was no chance they were going to win the game. And if that's them at home to Brentford, who are no great shakes, well, coming to Anfield, they should be quicker in the boots then, shouldn't he? And Liverpool should be looking at that as an opportunity rather than looking at it going, oh, but we've got this excuse and that excuse. That's why I was a little bit pissed off, is probably the wrong word, but I wasn't happy that when you said the manager looks so downbeat, do you know what I mean? The manager should be looking at this one, licking his lips, going, listen, we've got all these problems.
Right now, if I could pick the two games,
I'd
is
pick
them.
These, So unless it is something to do with what he's been told by the owners or whatever, but that's why I wanted to be thinking, nah, we'll be all right, don't worry. Don't you worry about the injuries. I've got a squad of 20 players or whatever. I have got a load of them missing. But that's why we've got a squad, because then the 11 that we put on the pitch will be better than their 11. And that's absolutely fact. Our 11 that goes on the pitch will be better than their 11. Whether that translates to a victory on the pitch is a totally different matter. You've got to fight the battle on the pitch to do that. But the players that we put out there and the players that they put out there, 9 times out of 10, we go on and win that game. We just got to make sure that the 27th is not one of them days tomorrow, for those watching, by the way, is not one of them days where we go, oh, well, what it was no disrespect to anybody at the club, but I'm not fucking interested in that. I'm not interested in, but Isak, but I'm not asked. Go out there and win that game of football. Because if Wolves, let's put it this way, anyone who's in a last man this week, everyone's picked Liverpool, and there's a reason for it, do you know what I mean? If any of the other teams could have handpicked their fixture for the day after Christmas, they would pick Wolves at home. But we've got it. We haven't got all of our star players there, but we have got the team that we should beat the most. And that's not to say we get, as Damian said before, there's no divine right to win a football match. But with the quality that we've got, and with the belief that we should have now, we're 6 games unbeaten as well, do you know what I mean? Confidence is a fragile thing and it's easy to throw away. But they should be building up from where we were when we're getting beat by the likes of Brentford and all them, do you know what I mean? We should be in a position now where we're going, nah, we're up for this. And anyone he brings in should be going, well, I'm made up, he's out, or I'm made up, he's suspended, because watch what I do now and I'll show you. That like you said Chiesa before, I'm not his biggest fan. If I was Chiesa, I'd be licking my lips to play Wolves at home.
Oh yeah.
If as a footballer who hasn't played a lot of minutes, who do you want to play? You don't want to go and play Man City away, do you? Where you're going to be chasing around, feeding on scraps. You want to go, I'm going to have this ball for 95% of this game and watch what I do with it.
I think the Chiesa thing is the interesting. I understand why he's liked. I understand why the manager thinks he's useful coming off the bench late on when everyone's a bit knackered. And then you see the best of him. And you can get kidded into thinking you can do that from the start of a Premier League game. I think the way that the manager will pick this team based on the way the manager has worked with Chiesa up to now is he'll pick 11 that doesn't include him.
Yeah.
I think that if I'm trying to guess what the manager will do, he go, I don't want to play him from the start. So however, I'll have to get it. So he's first cab off the rank coming on late on if we need to just keep the energy going. We need a goal, we need this, we need that. But it doesn't include him from the start. And so if I was second, I'm not saying that's what I'd do, but guessing the manager, I think that's where you need to count it backwards from. Take him out, then look at the remaining senior players. And that's why I was talking about the 2 lads on the left possibly being something and maybe moving Vert for this one.
Where he ends up, whenever they end up, Kev's right, Damian's right, you know, it is a game that Liverpool should be winning. Yeah. It's one which, you know, at the end of it, Amelia, you know, you put, you know, in my head, I'm looking at the league table and I'm saying, just give us 3 more. And that's not the attitude. You've still got to go and win the game. You've got to go and get those points on the board. But we saw last weekend, we win, and practically everyone around us doesn't. Table looks better. Liverpool are now joint 4th. Yeah. Same thing could happen again. Aston Villa are playing Chelsea, 5:30. We win. Table looks better again, regardless. And they're going to take points off each other. We played 17 games. We've had 17 hard ones, if you know what I mean. This is game 18 and 19. If Liverpool just find their way to 6 points off the back of these two, get their 6 points in, the table will it won't look where we want it to look, but it'll look healthier.
It'll look very different. Yeah, I think that's the nature of where we are and who is around us. And the point that we're at in the season is that rather than having very little control over anything other than our games and then going to watch and see what Man City do, as long as we keep winning, everything can change really, really quickly. And I think Kev's right that the way that we need to see ourselves going into this game is the way that every Wolves fan is going to be watching it, because there is no world in which a single Wolves fan that's coming to Anfield is thinking, we might be all right here. Like, it's a diminished Liverpool side. We might have a chance. Not a single one of them thinks that, based on all of the bad luck that is getting us down and making Arna look so miserable. That's not making them feel in any way like buoyed or more confident or giving them any sense of hope that they're going to come away from it with a result. They're probably just hoping they can minimise the damage as much as possible. So I think it's entirely about how we go into it, how the players go into it, but also how we go into it. The atmosphere that we make there on the 27th is entirely down to us.
There we are. It is entirely down to us, down to Liverpool. What Liverpool do will define it. What we do will also help define it, not as much as what they do. They always do get to carry the whole thing. Listen, whatever it is that you're doing over this Christmas, whatever it is you've been up to, I hope you've enjoyed it massively. We are in Reds Bar on Exchange Street East. We are with our friends at Erdinger. The next time we see each other, it will be Friday the 2nd of January. So let me wish you all a very, very happy new year on behalf of all of us. See you later on.